Alina Habba pays the price for cozying up to Donald Trump. Donald Trump rules the GOP for a simple reason. CFP World reacts to insane Jim Harbaugh news. HDL cholesterol, how to boost your good cholesterol. Were bivalent boosters worth it?
This is breaking news.
I'm Erin Burnett in Washington.
Alina Habba pays the price for cozying up to Donald Trump. Attorney Alina Habba is paying the price in more ways than one after a judge scolded her and Donald Trump for filing a series of frivolous lawsuits against the perceived political enemies of the former president. In a 46-page ruling issued on Thursday, U.S. District Court Judge Donald Middlebrooks hit out at attempts by Habba and Trump to use the courts to target dozens of defendants who the former president claimed conspired to damage his chances of winning the 2016 election by pushing his campaign's alleged ties to Russia. Middlebrooks sanctioned the pair for their abuse of the judicial process, ordering them jointly to pay nearly $938,000 in legal costs for the 31 defendants, which include the Democratic National Committee, Hillary Clinton, and former FBI Director James Comey. In his scathing ruling, Middlebrooks said that the dozens of lawsuits were part of a continuing pattern of misuse of the courts by Trump and his lawyers, and that the defendants in each suit were needlessly harmed in order to dishonestly advance a political narrative. Middlebrooks questioned why Habba would go ahead and work in these cases, knowing they have no legal standing. This case should never have been brought. Its inadequacy as a legal claim was evident from the start, Middlebrooks said. No reasonable lawyer would have filed it. Intended for a political purpose, none of the counts of the amended complaint stated a cognizable legal claim. Middlebrooks also condemned Habba for the reiterated misrepresentations and attacks on him she gave while giving media interviews to people like Fox News' Sean Hannity regarding the lawsuits after the judge had dismissed the case last September. This is the second time that Middlebrooks has sanctioned Habba in the Clinton lawsuit. In November 2022, the judge hit out at the political grievances masquerading as legal claims and ordered Trump's legal team to pay $50,000 to another defendant in the lawsuit, HBO founder Charles Dolan. Habba is also representing Trump during the defamation and battery lawsuits filed against him by E. Jean Carroll, who accuses the former president of raping her in the mid-1990s, which he denies. Habba is also said to have advised Trump amid the federal investigation over allegations he mishandled the classified documents found at his Mar-a-Lago resort. She is not the only attorney who has worked with Trump who has since gone on to face consequences. In 2018, Michael Cohen was sentenced to 3 years home confinement after pleading guilty to federal tax crimes, lying to Congress, and to campaign finance violations in connection to hush money paid to 2 women, adult film actress Stormy Daniels, real name Stephanie Clifford, and Playboy model Karen McDougal, to keep alleged affairs between them and Trump secret ahead of the 2016 election. Rudy Giuliani, who frequently pushed the false claim Trump won the 2020 election, was also subpoenaed to give evidence about alleged criminal election interference in Georgia. While Trump has in the past blamed his legal difficulties on the advice of his lawyers, Middlebrooks said the finger for the Clinton lawsuits cannot solely be placed on Habba. We are confronted with a lawsuit that should never have been filed, which was completely frivolous, both factually and legally, and which was brought in bad faith for an improper purpose, Middlebrooks wrote. Mr. Trump is a prolific and sophisticated litigant who is repeatedly using the courts to seek revenge on political adversaries. He is the mastermind of strategic abuse of the judicial process, and he cannot be seen as a litigant blindly following the advice of a lawyer. He knew full well the impact of his actions. Donald Trump rules the GOP for a simple reason. Think about this for a second. It was 2012, and it was Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan. Imagine that. At the head of a GOP ticket trying to beat Barack Obama and then Vice President Joe Biden. And yes, we all remember, it was Romney and Ryan that got thumbed pretty hard. At the time, my colleagues and friends in the Romney campaign, I was natural at the time as I was running the Diplomat, felt confident they could beat the Democrats. They felt they were offering a better vision for the country in terms of creating a better economy, a more robust national security strategy, and an overall better concept of where to take the nation. As one top Romney aide who worked at the most senior levels helping try to win in 2012 told me recently, we thought the nation wanted an updated, modernized version of what Ronald Reagan was selling back in 1980 and 1984. Wow, we were so wrong, and we let our own smugness get to our heads. While we got the Russia threat right, the rest we got all wrong. The GOP must finally come to grips with the fact that, yes, Donald Trump has taken over and transformed the Republican Party, and it is his policies that dominate what the voters in the party want. And that makes sense, as it was Donald Trump who won over what I would call Reagan Democrats and millions of others who felt the America of the last 20 years had left them behind. Many in the GOP want to try and go back in time, try to bring back somehow the boring pro-business, social security slashing, low taxes, interventionist version of the GOP, make it look like a populist message, but the simple fact is Republican voters want the populism Donald Trump is selling them. There are no two ways about it. In effect, Donald Trump is not only the face of today's GOP, Donald Trump is the GOP for the simple fact that the GOP still refuses to digest his message and learn the lessons of 2016. As one top Donald Trump 2016 staffer told me just recently, do you want to know why Donald Trump, despite all of his mistakes and classless comments and drama, still dominates the GOP? The answer is easy to see. No one in the GOP has fully taken his vision of the party based on populism and made it their own. Until there is a clear alternative to Trump, Trump rules. Sure, some in the party take a policy position here and there that mirrors Trump. But has anyone really gone full populist like Trump? I would argue no. So what would that look like? How would one take over the GOP from Trump and beat Trump in 2024? Well, you would need a Republican that would 100% embrace non-interventionist foreign policy ideas and would be willing to call out allies in, say, Europe who won't pay for their own defenses while we arm Ukraine to the teeth. Making China the top national security threat and spending the money and shifting the resources away from other parts of the world to make that happen. Embracing reciprocal trade deals and not blanket free trade. Refusing to cut Medicare and Medicaid. Making illegal immigration a top priority and working to ensure migrant flows are slashed. And yes, that means tariffs if trade partners cheat on deals. Battling the fentanyl crisis that is raving America. Working to ensure America's cities are not giant homeless encampments and open drug use areas. Being pro-law enforcement and making no compromises on that. Being willing to wage a war on wokeness ideology. And, finally, embracing a tough, no-nonsense, no BS attitude when it comes to messaging to GOP voters. They clearly don't want Mr. Nice Guy or Gal. They want someone they feel is bold and to stand up for them. These are the reasons that Donald Trump is the Republican Party today and why I think he would be very hard to beat in 2024. The only way I see someone coming along and doing that is they have to embrace the vision of the GOP Trump offers GOP voters. Until that happens, Donald Trump is the king of the GOP. Like it or not. I know what you are going to say. What about that Florida governor everyone is nuts over? While some argue Ron DeSantis is the person to take Trumpism over from Trump, we still don't know enough of his preferred policy ideas to get a sense of what he offers the GOP as the man in the Oval Office. He could very well make the populist base happy, but I would argue the jury is still out on that. But I think we are going to find out.